Some stars shine bright, then quietly fade, leaving behind unforgettable roles, but not always the recognition they deserve. From trailblazers of olda Hollywood to beloved modern faces, here are the 20 black actors whose passing slipped under the radar for many. 1. Bill Cobbs. At 90 years old, Bill Cobbs left us with a treasure chest of unforgettable performances that spanned over 5 decades. This man wasn't just an actor, he was a magician who could turn any small role into something you would remember forever. You probably know his face, even if you don't know his name. That warm, wise presence in The Bodyguard where he played Whitney Houston's father. That was Bill. The kind doorman in Demolition Man who helped Sandra Bullock's character? Bill again. But here's what makes his story wild. He didn't even start acting professionally until he was 36. Before Hollywood, Bill was selling cars in Cleveland and working random jobs just to make ends meet. He served 8 years in the Air Force, came back home, and was just living a regular life when acting called to him. Can you imagine discovering your true calling that late in life and then becoming one of the most recognizable character actors in Hollywood? His breakthrough came in the 1970s when he moved to New York and started doing theater. The man had this incredible ability to make every character feel like your favorite uncle or that neighbor who always had the best stories. In Night at the Museum, he played the wise night guard who knew all the secrets. In The Hudsucker Proxy, he was the elevator operator who delivered some of the movie's best lines with perfect timing. What's really cool about Bill Cobbs is how he never let age slow him down. Even in his 80s, he was still taking on new roles and bringing that same energy he had in his 40s. He appeared in over 150 film and television projects throughout his career. From cop shows to comedies to dramas, this man could do it all. He had recurring roles on I'll Fly Away and Oz, showing his range from heartwarming family shows to gritty prison dramas. 2. Sonia Eddy. Sonia Eddy's story hits different because of how sudden and unexpected it was. At 55, she went in for what should have been a routine surgery in December 2022. Everything seemed fine at first. She even got released from the hospital. But then something went terribly wrong. An infection took hold that doctors couldn't control, and within days, this vibrant woman who had been entertaining fans for decades was gone. For 16 years, Sonia played Epiphany Johnson on General Hospital, and let me tell you, she owned that role. Epiphany wasn't just any nurse. She was the head nurse who ran that hospital with an iron fist and a heart of gold. Sonia brought this perfect mix of tough love and genuine care to the character that made fans absolutely love her. When Epiphany walked into a scene, you knew someone was about to get told the truth, whether they wanted to hear it or not. Before she became a soap opera legend, Sonia was grinding in comedy clubs and small theater productions. She had this natural comedic timing that made her perfect for both drama and lighter moments. She didn't just appear in General Hospital either. She was in the spin-off General Hospital, Masued. Night Shift, proving that her character was so popular they built entire storylines around her. What made Sonia special was how she connected with fans. She wasn't just playing a nurse on TV. She made people feel like Epiphany was a real person they knew and trusted. Social media was full of tributes from fans who said watching her made them feel better about their own hospital visits. She had this way of making medical scenes feel less scary and more human. 3. Max Julien. Max Julien lived the kind of life that sounds too cool to be real. This man was an actor, sculptor, and fashion designer who basically helped define what being smooth looked like in the 1970s. But he will forever be remembered as Goldie in The Mac, one of the most iconic characters in blaxploitation cinema. The Mac wasn't just a movie, it was a cultural event. Max played this character with such style and confidence that people are still quoting his lines decades later. The film came out in 1973 and turned Max into a legend overnight. He wasn't just acting in The Mac, he was creating a whole persona that influenced fashion, music, and street culture for generations. But Max was way more than just one iconic role. The man had artistic talents that went far beyond acting. He was sculpting and designing clothes, showing that his creativity couldn't be boxed into just one category. He appeared in Def Jam's How to Be a Player. Much later in his career, proving he could still bring that same charisma to the screen even decades after his breakthrough. At 88, Max was still living in Los Angeles with his wife Arabella when cardiopulmonary arrest took him away. The man had lived through the golden age of blaxploitation films, seen the culture he helped create influence hip-hop and fashion, and watched new generations discover the Mac and fall in love with Goldie all over again. 4. Stephen Boss. Stephen Twitch Boss got his nickname as a kid because he literally couldn't sit still, and that restless energy became his superpower. This man turned constant movement into a career that touched millions of people's lives. You might know him as the DJ from The Ellen DeGeneres Show, but his journey to that chair was incredible. Twitch first caught everyone's attention on So You Think You Can Dance, where his freestyle dancing and infectious personality made him a fan favorite. He didn't win the competition, but he won something better. He became a household name. His dancing style was unique because he mixed technical skill with this natural joy that made you smile just watching him move. The transition from dancer to TV personality happened when Ellen DeGeneres saw something special in him. He became the in-house DJ for her show, but he was really so much more than that. Twitch was Ellen's hype man, her dance partner, and the guy who made every celebrity interview feel more relaxed. He had this gift for making everyone around him feel comfortable and happy. He also appeared in movies like Blades of Glory, showing he could handle acting alongside his dancing and TV work. But what made Twitch special was how genuine he was. In an industry full of fake personalities, he was the real deal, always positive, always encouraging, always ready to make someone's day better. When news broke in December 2022 that Twitch had taken his own life at just 40 years old, it shocked everyone who knew him. Here was this man who seemed to embody joy and positivity, struggling with demons that nobody saw coming. His death at the Oak Tree Inn in Encino reminded everyone that mental health battles can happen to anyone, even those who bring happiness to others every single day. 5. Sidney Poitier. Sidney Poitier wasn't just an actor. He was a history maker who changed what was possible for black performers in Hollywood. When he won the Academy Award for Best Actor in 1964 for Lilies of the Field, he became the first black man to receive that honor. But that's just the beginning of his incredible story. Born in the Bahamas, Sidney came to America with a thick accent and big dreams. Early casting directors told him he would never make it because of how he talked, so he spent months listening to radio announcers and teaching himself to speak differently. That determination to overcome obstacles became his trademark throughout his entire career. Guess who's coming to dinner in the heat of the night and to Sir with Love weren't just movies. They were cultural moments that forced America to confront its attitudes about race. Sidney had this incredible ability to play characters who were dignified, intelligent, and strong without being preachy or perfect. He made white audiences root for black characters at a time when that was revolutionary. But Sidney wasn't content to just act. He became a director with films like Buck and the Preacher and Stir Crazy, showing he could succeed behind the camera too. He was knighted by Queen Elizabeth II and received the Presidential Medal of Freedom, proving his impact went far beyond entertainment. When he passed away at 94 in January 2022 at his Beverly Hills home, the world lost more than just a great actor. Sidney Poitier had spent decades proving that talent and dignity could overcome any barrier. 6. Jack Knight. Jack Knight was one of those comedians who seemed destined for greatness from the moment he picked up a microphone. At just 28, he had already made his mark as a stand-up comic, writer, and voice actor before his life was cut tragically short in July 2022. His comedy career started the traditional way, grinding it out in small clubs, perfecting his timing, and developing his unique voice. But Jack was different from other comedians because he could write just as well as he could perform. When Blackish needed writers who understood the show's blend of humor and social commentary, Jack was a perfect fit. He became a writer and story editor, helping shape some of the show's most memorable episodes. Then came Big Mouth, the Netflix animated series that pushed boundaries and tackled topics other shows wouldn't touch. Jack wasn't just writing for the show. He was voicing Devon, bringing his comedic sensibilities to the character and making it feel real, despite being animated. His voice work showed he could make people laugh even when they couldn't see his face. What made Jack special as a comedian was his honesty. He talked about real life in ways that made people uncomfortable and then made them laugh about it. He had this ability to find humor in serious situations without making light of important issues. His stand-up was smart, funny, and authentic in a way that connected with audiences immediately. When he was found dead on an embankment in Los Angeles from a self-inflicted gunshot wound, the comedy world lost a voice that was just hitting its stride. Jack had the kind of talent that comes along once in a generation, and he was taken away just when he was starting to show everyone what he could really do. 7. John Beasley. John Beasley spent decades being the guy who made every movie better just by showing up. At 79, when he passed away in May of 2023, Hollywood lost one of its most reliable character actors. John had this incredible gift for taking small roles and making them memorable without ever trying to steal scenes from the leads. In Rudy, he played the groundskeeper who became a father figure to Sean Astin's character. It wasn't a huge role, but John brought such warmth and wisdom to it that you believed this man had been working at Notre Dame for decades and genuinely cared about every student who walked through those doors. That's the kind of actor John was. He made everything feel real and lived in. The Apostle, The Sum of All Fears, Walking Tall, The Purge, Anarchy, Sinister 2. This man's filmography reads like a greatest hits collection of different genres. He could do drama, action, horror, and everything in between. Directors loved working with John because they knew he would show up prepared and deliver exactly what the scene needed. But it was his work on Everwood that really showed his range. Playing the town doctor in this family drama, John got to be more than just a supporting character. He became the heart of the show, the guy everyone in town turned to when they needed help or advice. His performance was so natural that it felt like you were watching a real small-town doctor, not an actor playing one. When John was admitted to the hospital for liver tests and never came home, his son Michael kept the details private. But what matters is the body of work John left behind. Dozens of films and TV shows where he made everything better just by being there. 8. Clarence Gilliard Jr. Clarence Gilliard Jr. lived two completely different professional lives, and he excelled at both of them. Most people knew him as the bad guy in Die Hard or the helpful guy in Matlock and Walker, Texas Ranger. But for over 15 years, he was also a film and theater professor at the University of Nevada, teaching the next generation of performers. Let's talk about Die Hard first, because that movie changed action cinema forever, and Clarence was a big part of why. Playing Theo, the computer expert helping the terrorists, Clarence brought this cool intelligence to the role that made him more than just another villain. He was the guy who could hack anything, and he played it with this quiet confidence that made him legitimately scary. But then he completely flipped the script and became America's favorite helpful character on Matlock and Walker, Texas Ranger. As Conrad McMasters on Matlock, he was the private investigator who helped Andy Griffith solve cases. The role showed Clarence could be charming and trustworthy just as easily as he could be menacing. On Walker, Texas Ranger, he played Ranger Jimmy Trevette, Chuck Norris's partner who brought both action skills and comedy to the show. His early career wasn't easy. Clarence struggled with alleged drug abuse that made getting steady work difficult. But he turned his life around and became not just a successful actor, but also an educator who influenced hundreds of students over his teaching career. Top Gun fans also remember him as Sundown, one of the Top Gun pilots who added personality to the flight scenes. Whether he was playing good guys or bad guys, Clarence had this natural screen presence that made every character feel like a real person you might actually meet. When he passed away in November 2022, no cause of death was given, but his impact was clear. He had successfully balanced entertainment and education, showing that actors could give back to their craft in multiple ways. 9. Ricky Harris. Ricky Harris was the kind of comedian who could make you laugh just by walking into a room. As Malvo on Everybody Hates Chris, he brought this perfect mix of street smarts and humor that made every scene he was in instantly funnier. But Ricky's journey to that memorable role took him through years of grinding in comedy clubs and smaller TV appearances. Before Everybody Hates Chris made him a household name, Ricky was appearing on shows like Moesha, building his reputation as a reliable comedian who could handle both scripted material and improvisation. He had this natural timing that made other actors look forward to working with him because they knew he would bring something special to every scene. The role of Malvo was perfect for Ricky because it let him use all his skills. He was the neighborhood guy who always had something to say about everything, but he said it in ways that made you laugh instead of roll your eyes. Ricky understood that comedy works best when it comes from truth, and he brought real street credibility to the character. His appearance in the Sundance hit Dope showed that Ricky could handle more serious material too. The film's blend of comedy and drama was right in his wheelhouse, and he proved he was more than just a TV comedian. He was an actor who could adapt to different tones and genres while still bringing his unique personality to every role. When cardiac arrest took him away at 54 in December 2016, the comedy world lost a performer who was still finding new ways to make people laugh. 10. Michael Kenneth Williams. Michael Kenneth Williams turned a facial scar from a bar fight into one of the most recognizable faces in television history. As Omar Little on The Wire, he created a character so compelling that even people who don't usually watch TV dramas knew exactly who Omar was. That scar, which could have ended another actor's career, became part of what made Michael's performances so authentic and powerful. The Wire wasn't just any TV show. It was a cultural phenomenon that changed how people thought about television storytelling. Michael's Omar was a stick-up man who robbed drug dealers while following a strict moral code. The character was gay, dangerous, and somehow likable all at the same time. Michael played him with such depth that Omar became one of the most quoted and beloved characters in TV history. But Michael's story started long before The Wire made him famous. Tupac Shakur discovered him and gave him his first film role, in Bullet. That's the kind of larger-than-life beginning that perfectly fit Michael's career trajectory. From that first role, he kept building his reputation as an actor who could bring intensity and authenticity to any character. What made Michael special was his versatility. He could play gangsters, addicts, historical figures, and everything in between. In Boardwalk Empire, he played Chalky White, a completely different character from Omar, but equally compelling. In 12 Years a Slave, he brought dignity and pain to a smaller but crucial role. Every performance felt lived in and real. When he was found dead in his apartment in September 2021 from a drug overdose at 54, the entertainment world lost an actor who was still at the peak of his powers. Michael had struggled with addiction throughout his life, and despite his success and talent, those demons ultimately won. 11. Richard Roundtree. Richard Roundtree didn't just play John Shaft. He basically invented cool for an entire generation. When Shaft hit theaters in 1971, Richard became the first black action hero that everybody wanted to be. That leather coat, that walk, that attitude, Richard created a character so iconic that people are still trying to copy his style more than 50 years later. But here's what's wild about Richard's story. He almost didn't become an actor at all. This man was a model before Hollywood came calling. He was doing print ads and runway shows when someone saw that perfect combination of tough and smooth that made him perfect for John Shaft. Shaft wasn't just a movie. It was a cultural earthquake. The film made over $13 million on a tiny budget and proved that black action heroes could sell tickets worldwide. Richard's performance was so perfect that he played Shaft in 4 more movies over the decades. Even when Samuel Leroy Jackson took over the character in 2000, Richard was right there supporting him, passing the torch but never really letting go of what he created. What made Richard special was how he balanced tough and charming. Shaft could kick down doors and sweet-talk information out of anyone, and Richard played both sides with equal skill. He had this natural charisma that made you believe he could handle any situation that came his way. Directors loved working with him because he brought professionalism and creativity to every role. Beyond Shaft, Richard appeared in Roots, Heroes, and Being Mary Jane, showing he could handle drama just as well as action. He kept working right up until the end, appearing in movies and TV shows well into his 70s. When pancreatic cancer took him at 81 in October 2023 at his Los Angeles home, Hollywood lost a true original who proved that black actors could carry major action films and make them worldwide hits. 12. Nichelle Nichols. Nichelle Nichols broke barriers so hard that she literally changed the future of space exploration. As Lieutenant Uhura on Star Trek, she didn't just play a communications officer. She showed the world what a black woman in a position of authority could look like in the 23rd century. But her impact went way beyond science fiction television. Her journey started in the most glamorous way possible. Duke Ellington discovered her in the late 1940s when she was still a teenager. This jazz legend saw something special in Nichelle and helped launch her career in music and performance. She was singing in nightclubs and performing on stage long before she ever set foot on the Enterprise Bridge. When Star Trek premiered in 1966, Nichelle made history as one of the first black women to play a major role on television. But here's the crazy part. She almost quit after the first season. The studio wasn't treating her well, and she was ready to leave. Then Martin Luther King Jr. personally talked her out of it. He told her that her role was too important to give up because she was showing millions of children what was possible for black women in the future. Lieutenant Uhura wasn't just answering space phones. Nichelle made sure the character was professional, intelligent, and essential to the ship's operations. When she shared television's first interracial kiss with William Shatner, it was controversial enough that some stations refused to air the episode. But Nichelle stood by the scene because she knew it mattered. After Star Trek ended, Nichelle did something incredible. She worked with NASA to recruit women and minorities to become astronauts. She helped bring Mae Jemison, Guion Bluford, and other groundbreaking astronauts into the space program. Her work directly led to more diversity in actual space exploration, not just fictional space adventures. When heart failure took her away at 89 in July 2022 in Silver City, New Mexico, the world lost someone who had literally helped shape the future. 13. Mary Alice. Mary Alice spent 50 years proving that talent and persistence could overcome any obstacle Hollywood threw at her. With both Tony and Emmy Awards on her shelf, she was the kind of actress other actors looked up to. Her career was a masterclass in how to build a lasting legacy through consistently excellent work. Starting on New York stages gave Mary Alice the foundation she needed for everything that came after. Theater taught her how to command attention without being loud, how to make every word count, and how to create fully realized characters even in small moments. Those skills served her perfectly when she transitioned to film and television. In The Matrix Revolutions, Mary Alice stepped into the crucial role of the Oracle after Gloria Foster passed away. Taking over such an important character in the middle of a trilogy could have been a disaster, but Mary Alice brought her own interpretation while respecting what came before. She made the Oracle feel wise and mysterious in her own unique way. Awakening showcased her dramatic skills alongside Robin Williams and Robert De Niro. In a film full of incredible performances, Mary Alice held her own and created a memorable character that added depth to the story. Malcolm X gave her another chance to be part of important historical storytelling, and she brought dignity and strength to every scene she was in. Her television work was just as impressive as her film career. She appeared in shows across decades, adapting to changing styles and technologies while maintaining the same high standards that made her reputation in theater. Whether she was playing dramatic or comedic roles, Mary Alice brought professionalism and creativity to everything. When natural causes took her at 85 in July 2022, the entertainment world lost an actress who had shown generations of performers what it meant to have a career built on excellence and dedication. 14. Chance Perdomo. Chance Perdomo was just hitting his stride when tragedy cut his promising career short. At 27, he had already earned a British Academy Television Award nomination for Killed by My Debt, proving he could handle serious dramatic material that dealt with real social issues. His motorcycle accident in March 2024 robbed the world of an actor who was clearly just getting started. Killed by My Debt wasn't just another TV movie. It was a hard-hitting look at how debt can destroy lives in modern Britain. Chance's performance was so convincing and heartbreaking that it earned him recognition from some of the most prestigious awards in British television. He brought authenticity to the role that made viewers understand the real human cost of financial struggle. But Chance wasn't just a dramatic actor. His range was already showing in the different types of projects he was taking on. He had the kind of natural screen presence that made casting directors take notice and remember his name for future roles. Other actors his age were struggling to get noticed, but Chance was already building a reputation as someone who could be trusted with important material. The motorcycle accident that killed him involved no other parties, making it even more senseless. Here was a young man who had worked hard to build his career, earned recognition for his talent, and was poised for bigger success. 15. Louis Gossett Jr. Jr. started performing when most kids his age were still figuring out what they wanted to be when they grew up. Making his stage debut at 17 and then landing a Broadway role in Take a Giant Step showed that this wasn't just teenage enthusiasm, this was real talent that was going places. An Officer and a Gentleman made Louis the first black man to win an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor. His drill sergeant Emile Foley was tough, demanding, and absolutely unforgettable. That role could have been just another military stereotype, but Louis brought depth and humanity to the character that made you understand why he pushed his recruits so hard. But Louis wasn't content to be known for just one role. Roots made him a household name as Fiddler, showing he could handle historical drama with the same skill he brought to contemporary stories. The miniseries was a cultural event that changed how America talked about slavery and its legacy, and Louis's performance was a crucial part of why it worked so well. Iron Eagle turned Louis into an action star, proving he could carry big-budget films and make them successful. His chemistry with young Jason Gedrick made the movie work, and his portrayal of Chappie Sinclair showed he could be both mentor and hero in the same character. The film was successful enough to spawn multiple sequels, with Louis returning each time. Television kept Louis busy for decades. He appeared in everything from Boardwalk Empire to Watchmen, showing he could adapt to new styles and work with different generations of actors and directors. He never seemed to slow down or lose interest in finding new challenges. When chronic obstructive pulmonary disease took him at 87 in March 2024 in Santa Monica, the entertainment world lost an actor who had broken barriers and set standards that others are still trying to reach. 16. Hinton Battle. Hinton Battle was a triple threat who made Broadway magic look effortless. Winning 3 Tony Awards, all for featured actor in a musical, proved that he was operating on a level that most performers never reach. His combination of acting, singing, and dancing made him one of the most versatile entertainers of his generation. Broadway was where Hinton really shined. His Tony wins came for different shows, proving that his success wasn't just about finding one perfect role. He could make any musical better just by being in it. His dancing was athletic and graceful, his singing was powerful and emotional, and his acting brought real character to even the smallest parts. But Hinton wasn't limited to live theater. He appeared in films and television shows that let him showcase different aspects of his talent. His choreography work showed that he understood entertainment from both sides, as a performer and as someone who could help other performers look their best. His influence on other performers was huge. Young actors, singers, and dancers looked up to him as an example of what was possible with enough talent and hard work. He showed that Black performers could succeed in Broadway musicals and make their mark in one of entertainment's most competitive arenas. The lengthy illness that led to his death in January 2024 at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles couldn't diminish what he had accomplished. 17. Moses J. Mosley. Moses Mosley made his mark in an era when television was changing faster than ever before. His work on The Walking Dead, Queen of the South, and Watchmen showed he could handle different genres and bring something unique to each role. At just 31, he was building a career that could have gone anywhere. The Walking Dead was a cultural phenomenon that made stars out of actors who might never have gotten noticed otherwise. Moses brought intensity and authenticity to his zombie roles that made even non-speaking parts memorable. In a show full of incredible makeup and special effects, his performance still stood out. Queen of the South and Watchmen proved that Moses wasn't just a horror actor. He could handle crime drama and superhero material with equal skill. His range was becoming clear, and casting directors were starting to see him as someone who could fit into different types of projects. What made Moses' story tragic was how past trauma seemed to influence his final moments. The entertainment industry can be incredibly demanding and stressful, and not everyone has the support system they need to handle the pressure. His death by gunshot near Hudson Bridge in July 2022 was ruled a suicide, highlighting the mental health struggles that many performers face. 18. Carl Weathers. Carl Weathers proved that athletes could become serious actors when they put in the work and took the craft seriously. His transition from NFL linebacker to Hollywood leading man wasn't just about good looks and athletic ability. Carl brought real acting skills to every role he tackled. Rocky made Carl Weathers a star as Apollo Creed, the flashy champion who became Rocky Balboa's greatest rival and closest friend. But Carl didn't just play Apollo as a one-dimensional villain. He brought depth, charisma, and genuine friendship to the character that made the entire Rocky saga work better. The relationship between Apollo and Rocky became the heart of the Rocky franchise, and Carl's performance was crucial to making that friendship believable. When Apollo died in Rocky IV, audiences genuinely mourned the character because Carl had made him feel like a real person they cared about. Predator showed Carl could handle action movies beyond boxing dramas. His military commander was tough, smart, and resourceful, holding his own alongside Arnold Schwarzenegger and a cast full of action stars. The film became a classic, and Carl's performance was a big reason why the military team felt authentic. Happy Gilmore proved Carl had comedy skills too. His golf pro Chubbs was both mentor and comic relief, and Carl played both aspects perfectly. The role introduced him to a whole new generation of fans who might never have seen the Rocky movies. Later in his career, The Mandalorian brought Carl back to prominence as Greef Karga. His performance in the Star Wars universe showed he could still command the screen and work with cutting-edge technology and production techniques. When atherosclerotic cardiovascular disease took him at 76 in February 2024 at his Los Angeles home, Hollywood lost an actor who had successfully transitioned from sports to entertainment and maintained excellence in both careers. 19. Andre Braugher. Andre Braugher spent his career proving that intelligence and humor could make any character more interesting. His Captain Raymond Holt on Brooklyn Nine-Nine became a fan favorite because Andre found the perfect balance between authority and comedy. His 2 Primetime Emmy Awards and Golden Globe nominations showed that critics recognized his exceptional talent. Brooklyn Nine-Nine could have been just another workplace comedy, but Andre's performance as the precinct captain elevated the entire show. Captain Holt was gay, black, and completely professional, and Andre played him with such dignity and subtle humor that he became the show's secret weapon. But Andre wasn't just a comedy actor. His dramatic work showed incredible range and depth. He could handle serious material with the same skill he brought to lighter roles. His ability to switch between drama and comedy made him valuable to any production. The lung cancer that took him at 61 in December 2023 came as a shock to fans and colleagues who had watched him work consistently for decades. Andre had seemed to be in his prime, still finding new ways to surprise audiences with his performances. 20. Roger Earl Mosley. Roger Earl Mosley brought authenticity to everything he did, especially his most famous role as helicopter pilot Theodore T.C. Calvin on Magnum P.I. The fact that Roger was a real licensed pilot made his performance even more convincing. He actually knew how to fly those helicopters, even though the show wouldn't let him do his own stunts. Magnum P.I. was a massive hit that made Tom Selleck a household name, but Roger's TC was just as important to the show's success. TC was Magnum's best friend, voice of reason, and the guy who always came through when things got dangerous. Roger played him with such warmth and loyalty that you understood why Magnum trusted him completely. What made Roger's performance special was how he balanced tough and caring. TC could handle any dangerous situation, but he also genuinely cared about his friends and his community. Roger brought real depth to what could have been just a supporting character. The car accident in Linwood, California, that took his life in August 2022 was a tragic end to a career that had brought joy to millions of viewers. Roger was 83 and still active when the crash occurred, showing that he had maintained his passion for life and work right up to the end. Thanks for watching. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss more stories that matter.